looks so sharp.
Round of applause for this.
Move up. So I wanted to first and foremost thank the Action On Film Festival for having us here tonight. I've been here before 3 times with a couple short films, and actually had this film as a short film, one scene about 4 years ago, I think it was. And Candice won an award here for that festival. I think it was in 2009, or 2010. We've been working on it for a number of years, and wanted to thank Del Weston and the entire AOF team for helping out, and always being there and supportive, and answering questions from a young budding filmmaker. And it's a great festival, and anyone who hasn't had their film in this festival, I'd please recommend to do so in the future. So thank you, Del, and thank everyone at the AOF Festival. Any questions from the audience? You can have the first
What
question.
inspired you guys?
The film was inspired by conversations that Ben Youcef and myself had a number of years ago. We were discussing politics and post 9/11, and he is a Muslim man in America, and myself as an extensive world traveler, and I studied history. So he and I had always had these great conversations late at night at the gym, and that slowly evolved into a story that you see before us tonight. So it was something that came from our heart, and we wanted to show a facet of society that you normally don't see in films, which is a good-souled, good-hearted Muslim man, regardless of his religious background, that he has. He starts out with a character flaw in life, but he finds a good path, and in that seeking of a good path, he finds other people along the way, like Candice's character, that has her own trials and tribulations, and is able to find a place of peace and epiphany and coexistence. So ultimately the film that Ben and I sought out to make was one of coexistence. It's a film of tolerance, and even though it's wrapped up in a thriller and politics, I think it still has that core to it. Any questions from the audience?
Congratulations, solid film. I really enjoyed it. I'm Iranian, so I understand what message you were trying to relay. I know that you worked on many high-budget productions, not as a director, but being on set. How did that help you to direct your own future? What did you gain from those big budget films?
I think in any craft, whether you're working with wood or regardless if you're a plumber, it's filmmaking is like anything else. It's kind of a guild system to an extent. You can start from scratch and figure it out yourself, and sometimes it works out. But being my own personal path and experience of working with top-notch directors, whether from Hollywood or overseas, has been a tremendous experience, just from a perspective of observing experts do a job at a very refined level, and there's almost no mistakes made. Everything it's like a military operation. It's like boom, boom, boom. They know exactly what they're doing all day long. A lot of it's done in planning. The number one thing I learned from what we consider great filmmakers today, like John Frankenheimer, the amount of planning that goes into film, people in the audience never appreciate, or really they don't need to know. But Ben and I worked on a year of pre-production before we shot anything. We spent a lot of time on manipulating the script to budget, to locations we had available, to friends. I remember calling Candice at one point, and I'm like, I need a mansion. Can we use your friend's mansion for the interior? She's like, yeah, let me find out. So, had we not found a location, I would have restructured the scene. And so the number one thing was learning how to make whatever your budget is work for what you have, and not the other way around, because you start chasing your tail. If you write a script and it takes place on Mars, just getting there is going to be really expensive. So make sure you do it on a stage somewhere in LA. I wanted to quickly introduce the people that are standing before you. This is Kaleem Ansari. He's one of our actors as well as one of our producers. Mr. Jamie Trent, who's wearing a hat, actually wears many hats in the film. He's one of our producers. He's also our second unit cinematographer, and he's also our post-production colorist. So he's a tremendous man that has many talents, and our film is that much better for it. So bravo, Jamie. Mr. Saeed Faraj, who plays a father character, enough said. Sharon Ferguson, who plays a sister character. Candice Coke, who plays Lana. Ben Youcef. This is Jim Smith. He's one of our producers. He's also a co-writer with me on another film called St. Mary's that we're in development and pseudo pre-production. So Jim and I have been working together for many years, and in pre-production, same story. So hopefully we start shooting in January. So Jim Smith. And Darrell Philip, a very talented actor on stage, in theater, and in cinema. So Darrell, thank you. Any questions from the audience before we continue on? I'll answer part of it, and I'll let Ben answer the second part. The majority of what we shot in Los Angeles was done with permits, and then what we shot in other locations was without permits. So that.
Did a lot of favors. We were lucky to, we actually put down all the friends that we have, locations like you see in the movie. And they came through for us, and we're lucky. Regarding Algeria in specific, since he's my friend, and he's Algerian.
So in Algeria, Ben and I traveled extensively, he and I, and we found locations we liked, and we shot a lot of things with a small camera, a 5D camera. And then from that, it evolved later in post in Los Angeles with green screen. Nice work. Thank you, thank you.
To be honest with you, it's very tough. A movie came out a few years ago. I was nominated for the Oscar, Days of Glory.
Sure.
You know, and he made Algerian look really great, right?
Sure.
Even though it's actually about Algerian story, which I was surprised they didn't help him as much. The movie was shot in Morocco. The other one that just came out, also nominated for the Oscar by the same director, Best Foreign Film. And Entry, as an Algerian entry, also was shot, which is the city of my mom, Steve, where the first massacre happened.
Sure.
That was shot in Tunisia. So basically, to answer the question, it's tough, yeah. It's going to take a long time.
Ben and I made it a point to shoot in Algeria for a couple reasons. One, access to specific locations that Ben had through his family and friends was relatively easy for us for a small budget film. It didn't make sense to go to Morocco, which everyone was telling us to do. I'm like, great, raise me $1 million and I'll do it. But that involves a huge machine. So Ben and I basically went to Algeria. We shot with 3-4 people. So everything that you see physically in Algeria was Ben and I, and then a couple friends that helped out. But basically it was he and I. The smoke and mirrors of it all is that a lot of what you are looking at is actually shot in the deserts of Los Angeles. So unless it's a particular shot, you know when we're in Algiers because it's the Casbah and it's the waterfront. So those shots, if you actually analyze the film, they're relatively simple shots. It's Ben walking through Algiers, not that complex. Dialogue shots, it's just he and I, and we set the camera on a tripod and just did our scene. And he was operating one angle, I operated the other angle. So I hate calling it guerrilla style because that makes it sound like you're just kind of screwing around. But we planned meticulously exactly what we would shoot there and what we wouldn't. And it came out, I think, pretty flawless for what it is, and we're very happy about it. The reason we went to Algiers is my belief, and Ben's belief as well as filmmakers, is if you're going to shoot something in New York City, just go to New York City. I mean, I travel a lot. I hate seeing a film that is shot somewhere else and then the title card says New Orleans. And I'm like, that's not the French Quarter. I'm like, come on. So it drives me nuts. So I would never do that in any of my films. If we're going to shoot something, at least shoot plate shots in that city. And then you do interiors somewhere else. So a lot of the Algerian interiors were taking place, we built sets here. Same thing with Vegas. That Vegas interior was actually shot on a stage in Los Angeles. The exteriors were shot there. So no one would ever know that, you know. But it looks great, and you can make that work.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And by the way, you forgot to mention that he had to act. It was great. Yeah, that was part of the budget. Yeah, but thank God he.
Part of the budget cut was we couldn't find an actor that would be in 3 parts of the world within 2 years. So I'm like, I'll do it.
Yeah, that was a guarantee.
Yeah. It's the beard. The beard gave it away. I think there's a question here.
Yeah, congratulations on a great film, by the way. I know
Thank you.
That just story-wise and acting, you guys were phenomenal. This was like a sprawling film, you know, with all the different locations. Like how long from, I guess, pre-production to completion of post did it take? And
It was 1 year of pre-production, 2 years of shooting, and 2 years of post. So 5 years total, start to finish.
Okay.
So we're in like 5.5 years now at festivals. So it took a long time. I was fortunate to be able to assemble a very small but dedicated, I call them our little Navy SEAL team. Our post was, at its largest, it was about 100 people, but the core was maybe 4 people. And Jamie, myself, and 2 other people, Tony Rudenko, Sebastian Lomberg, and then our composer, James Bartlett, and his dad. So like 5 or 6 people.
What was the casting process? Did you guys ever collaborate on a film previously? I'm just curious.
I was just going to introduce some of the cast, and that'll be answered within that. So we all, the bulk of the cast, we all know each other one way or another, 6 years separation. Between Ben and myself, we didn't go through a normal casting process. We went out because we both live in Hollywood and we have a lot of friends that work in the industry. We went out to our friends and our collaborators and basically found people to play certain parts, and then while working on the script, we were creating parts with specific people that said they'd do it. So I met I've known Candice for years, but I met with her, chatted about the film, the construct of it, and once she agreed to do it, then we made her fit into one of the characters, and I wrote her dialogue knowing her cadence, and I kind of built it into it. I did that with Harry. I luckily did it for myself, for Sharon, for Ben. So we had a very organic casting process. It was very natural. Having said that, I quickly wanted to ask Candice a question to explain a bit her character and just her approach to it, because it's an interesting basis. She's a very talented actress, as you can see, and she really gets a chance to chat about her character. So,
you want to ask what's the question?
the specific question to Candice by me for the audience is, how did you prepare for the part, and what parts of your own personal life did you bring to it? And did you workshop it in class? Did you work with just Ben? Did you spend extensive time?
Well, we talked a lot about what you were looking for, I think specifically with this character and the relationship between these 2 people. But for me, I think at that time when we first started the project, I was doing a lot of voice work. So I don't tend to use my own life stuff to bring to the table, so it's more about being connected to my body and the words that are written, and then connecting to the person that I'm standing in front of. So it's kind of being in the moment, being present, and taking it all in at the same time. But as far as preparation is concerned, I like it to be organic, and I like to see what you're going to say and how I'm going to react to it and what's going to happen on film. I don't like to plan anything too much, because I think once you plan, you start to get stuck in a routine, and then it like, you know, you're on take 20.
It's natural, yeah.
And then it becomes, you know, dead. But we tried a lot of different things, and I think the most honest are the takes that you pull, you know? So for me, it's really not about preparation, it's just about being present. And I think for me as an actor, I think it's really important to be open and vulnerable in life, because you can't do it on screen if you don't do it in life. And so it's really just like, you know.
That's great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Perfect.
So,
Thank you. Thank you very much for coming out. All the films coming in, so I appreciate it, and hopefully see you on the next one.